Hello friends, welcome to Science Time. Some of you may know me as Ms. Dwyer. I'm the elementary STEM coordinator from Winchester Public Schools. It is a beautiful day. I'm here in my backyard in Harvard, Massachusetts, and I'm ready to explore. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be exploring my yard and areas around my town, and I'm also going to be doing some fun projects inside my house. So I wanted to invite you to join in and in your own backyard and in your own house, join and make projects with me and observe nature and learn a little bit about science. So I hope that you will join in. Anybody in the Winchester Public Schools community is free to join. And I just want to show you one thing that you'll be needing in order to get ready. So if you want to participate, really all you need is yourself. But I highly recommend that every scientist keeps a science notebook. Scientists love to keep notebooks because it's a place where we can draw our observations and write about them and think. So I'm going to encourage everyone to start a science notebook. Now, your science notebook can look like anything that you can draw or write in. So I'll show you a couple of examples. It could look like this. This is a bunch of sheets of plain paper that I just folded in half, and I drew a picture on the front, and that is a really good science notebook. I'll show you how to make one in the next lesson. Or you might have some pads of paper around your house. That makes a great science notebook because you can draw and write down all of your ideas right there. Or for you, your science notebook may look like this. This is an iPad or a Chromebook would work too. This isn't my favorite science notebook in some ways because it can be hard to take outside when it's raining, but it's really good for some things. So you could use this too. Now I just looked around my house and I found a notebook that I hadn't started using yet, so this is going to become my science notebook. But like I said, it really doesn't matter. Any place that you can write and draw is a great science notebook. And even if you don't have a notebook, I hope that you'll join me anyway. So since I'm outside, I already started exploring because I can't help myself. If I'm outside, I have to explore. And I saw some really interesting things in my yard. So I'd like to share a couple things with you and show you a couple of examples of what I'm interested in right now. And I hope that you'll go into your yard and find some interesting things for yourself. So one thing I noticed is that even though it looks pretty gray outside, the grass looks all dead and the trees don't have leaves on them yet, there's a lot of green starting to pop up. Look at that. Look at that color. It's beautiful. And even flowers in some places. I just found these in my backyard and I'm pretty sure they're flowers. So these are signs of spring for sure. I also started to find little pops of color on the trees. Look at those. They're bright red, even though the tree itself looks pretty gray. So I'm very curious about this. What is going on? I think I'm going to go around my yard and look for other little pops of color that look like this on twigs of trees and branches. And because there's a lot of them, I might even take a couple of samples into my house to experiment with. These ones aren't colorful, but they are a little bit fuzzy. And I'm always interested in fuzzy things, so I might take a little sample of this inside. These ones at the end of these twigs are kind of fat and a little green showing through, and they're sort of long and spiky, so I'm curious about these too. Here's an interesting one that's kind of fat. It's about the size of the end of my thumb, I think. These ones are pretty scraggly looking, but I'm noticing that there's not only little green things on them, but actually the ends of the branches themselves are different color. They're this kind of yellow brown color, whereas what they're coming out of, the bigger branches, are kind of gray. So I'm curious about that. Okay, so I'm going to take a couple of samples off of these trees and shrubs of things I'm interested in. Now, normally when I go out into nature, even in my own backyard, I try not to remove too much of the plants. So I try not to pick things, I try not to cut things, unless there's something that needs to be cut. So the only exception to that is if there's a lot of something and if I know it's not dangerous to me. Sometimes I'll take just a little bit of it home with me to experiment with inside my house. So there's a lot of one of these things that I'm interested in, It's actually all over part of my yard, and there's lots of it even on this one shrub. I'm not sure if you can see it behind me, but there are branches all over the place right near me. So I'm gonna take my safe scissors and I'm just gonna cut out a little piece. Now in a later video, I'll show you how to make sure that the things aren't dangerous. For now, you should ask an adult for permission before you cut anything in your yard or even really touch things in your yard. Most things are safe, and I'll show you the very few things that are not safe. So I know this is safe because I brush by this every single day and I'm fine. So I'm just gonna take a little piece of this, here we go, because I'm gonna bring it inside. Now I'm gonna bring this one twig inside. I'm gonna collect a few more twigs from out here that have interesting things on them. And I'm gonna put them in a vase of water in my house and just see what happens. I'd encourage you to do the same thing. I just found a jar in my kitchen and I put a little water in the bottom of it. I know that all living things need water and that these I brought from outside. I know that they're plants, so I'm going to assume that they're living, although that could be wrong. And I also know that whenever somebody in my house brings in plants from the outside, they give them water. So I'm going, or even from the grocery store. So I'm just going to leave them. I'm going to put them in a sunny spot in my house and leave them in the jar, and I'm just going to watch and see if anything happens. So I hope that you will do the same thing too and share what you find with me.